I'm Heidi Worley, Senior Writer and Editor at PRB. Today I'm speaking with Dr. Richard Cincotta, demographer in residence at the Stimson Center. Dr. Cincotta is a political demographer whose research focuses on the demographic transition and its relationships to political, economic, and environmental change. Welcome, Richard, and thanks for being here.
Thank you, Heidi.
Could you please describe for us the relationship between the age structure of a population and democratic trends?
Sure, it's a simple relationship. It's focused on, the work that I do is focused on liberal democracy, that is very high levels of democracy. And it appears that as countries go through their fertility decline, and as their age structure progresses and advances and gets older, they are more likely to, one, become liberal democracies, and secondly, to keep it once they've got it.
You have described some countries that are undergoing this democratic transition as chronically young. Could you tell us a little bit more about what that means and maybe give us some examples?
Sure. Countries that are chronically young have high fertility, or if they've had a fertility decline, they've stalled. So there's quite a few countries that fit that description. They have very pyramidal age structures that if you look at their age structures, I should say population pyramids, what you'll see is real pyramids. They actually look like pyramids that are wide at the base because there's many children. And there's very little hope that in the next 20, 25 years that they will have a transition, a fertility transition that will actually change that age structure to a great deal. The countries where you see chronically young age structures are mostly in sub-Saharan Africa, but there are also a few in the Middle East, Iraq, Afghanistan, Palestinian Authority fertility is changing actually. Some on the in Yemen, in the among the Gulf states, a few, and if we go all the way out to the east, you see Papua New Guinea and the Solomons, where fertility has come down very little, as well as East Timor.
And how do these transitions relate to what we hear a lot about, the demographic dividend?
Well, that's an excellent question, because I think you could call that demographic dividend that most people speak about in the economic realm as an economic demographic. This one is a political demographic dividend. They coincide, they may actually interact quite a bit, and like the economic dividend, there has to be some kind of institutional adjustment in the state level. Now, as we were talking about before, some authoritarians are not very, they're not ready to hand over the state to a democratic government. So they may resist in some way. It's difficult for them, though. So it's not exactly like the economic dividend. Very often, the authoritarian wants to build up his economic power base, but very often when he does that, when he precipitates a decline in fertility, when he extends women rights, when he invests in education, that political dividend occurs, and that may be the end of his power.
Interesting. Could you point us to some regions of the world where we might see some successful transitions, some of these successful democratic transitions that you're talking about?
So if we look around the world, I think we can see, I think Colombia and Venezuela are on the right track, particularly Colombia. It's a matter of actually getting out of that conflict, that it's been an internal conflict. Myanmar is a possibility. It has some ethnic violence, and where conflicts are occurring, democratization is typically delayed. But the Maghreb still Morocco and Algeria are possibilities in my book, anyway.
Well, thank you very much for
Oh,
your
you're
time.
quite welcome.
We
They're
appreciate
great
that you're here.
questions.
Thank you.